go.
Today, I want more Kingdom Come news. There is a video made by Gaming Bolt. 3 days ago, they made a video on Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 asking the question, can this open world action RPG deliver the goods? Now let's see. Maybe he's asking a lot of questions, maybe he's answering some questions. I truly want to find out myself what he's going to say because that really interests me. So yeah, let's check it out and let's see what he says. Let's go.
For RPG fans, 2024 has been an incredible year, to put it mildly. Regardless of which style of RPG you prefer, these last dozen months have had plenty on offer for everyone, and the majority of it has been excellent. Whether 2025 will continue that trend remains to be seen, but even so, a handful of titles are officially confirmed for the year that suggest that there's going to be no shortage of great RPGs to play in the near future. Among that list of games, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is also present.
It's not only present, it's shining. But yeah, I agree. There's going to be a lot of great games that are going to come out in 2025. We're going to have a good year. Like, guys, just know that. We're going to have a crazy good year. It's going to be insane.
Give it to me.
Come and get it.
Fellas, hold your noses and beat him up.
The wait for a sequel
Yeah, I remember that. It's because he actually swam in, like, shit water. So, yeah.
to Kingdom
Can't wait for
Come Deliverance has obviously been a long one. The first game in the series, releasing in 2018, may have had its fair share of rough edges, but
2018, guys, now that I think about it, it's going to be like 6.5 years. Bro, that's a long time. I know there's other games that take like 16 years, you know, as we're still waiting for the new Elder Scrolls, but 6 years, man, they really had time to perfect
it
this.
developed a sizable fan base following over time, having sold over 8 million units by November.
Crazy.
That there would be a sequel at some point was really never in doubt, given that success. And now that a sequel is within touching distance for fans, the prospect of an iterative sequel that promises to build on its predecessor's solid foundations while sanding off its rough edges is looking like an increasingly exciting one.
I mean, it's exciting, yes. I want to get to the part where he asks questions or says, I guess, concerns, because until now, that's what I'm assuming he's going to do. But yes, until now, I agree. It's exciting. Everybody's waiting for it. Like, there's not much to add to that one.
Had enough?
Aye.
Now hand it back. Everything you stole from me.
Here.
I'd kill him still.
That's all of it. Can I go now?
That, in fact, is exactly how the developer is describing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. The developer says the upcoming open-world action RPG is meant to be an evolution of established ideas, rather than something that reinvents the wheel. A more polished and fleshed-out take on the first game's formula.
I mean, that makes sense. And if anybody wants them to reinvent the wheel, then they're just living in a delusion. Like, if people can't see that a sequel to a game that people love has to still be in the same style of game. I'll give an example, but look at movies. There was Joker 1, which everybody loved. I loved. It was so good. And then Joker 2 came out and reinvented the wheel. Look at what happened. Go look at the box office sales and the ratings of that movie, please. And then come back to the video. Like, we know that that's not a good idea, especially if it's a direct sequel and a continuation to the story. This is 2-3 days after. So if anybody's here saying they should, I feel like it's going to be repetitive. I think I saw a comment like that on one of my videos. I just don't see the point. Like, there's no point in doing that.
That eliminates most of its
Not yet, at least. If they make a third one and a fourth one, fine, I get it. But it's their second game. Like,
and expands on its best ideas was exactly what many had been hoping Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 would be. And sure enough, that's what the developer is planning. That, of course, will mean that the game will offer a familiar experience in a number of ways, including some that not many would have expected. For instance, Henry returning as the protagonist and the game being a direct follow-up wasn't something everyone expected.
I'm sorry. Before he continues to say why, what? How could you expect anything else in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, where literally the main character of the main story is Henry, who you spend like over 100 hours playing as? Unless they're gonna say they're expecting Hans, the secondary character, but I still don't see the point. Henry still hasn't gotten like his revenge and all that. Like, there's a lot of story
The developer's reasoning is easy enough to understand. With Henry set to return, the developer is promising a story that raises the stakes while also building on established narrative arcs and world-building foundations. The result, according to the developer, is a more epic and sweeping story. Deliverance 2 is being billed as the story of how Henry continues his climb up the medieval social ladder from blacksmith to hero to beyond. His personal journey becoming increasingly tied to the larger politics of central Bohemia, with the developer saying that the game will wrap up his tale. Those are all grand.
All right, so the game will wrap up his tale, which I'm assuming that's it. They're making Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and they might make a spin-off, obviously DLCs, but this is it for Henry, I'm assuming. That is understandable, but why would you assume the second game is not about
promises,
Henry?
If nothing else. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 also boasts over 5 hours of cinematics, according to the developer, so clearly the game's placing plenty of emphasis on storytelling.
Yeah, and I'm in for it.
And of course, player choice is going to have a big role to play in the storytelling department as well. Choice and consequence mechanics can be a difficult thing to pull off, but the developer is promising a greater emphasis being placed on...
Look, I'm super hyped for this, but I got FOMO, alright? So there's a lot of times where I'm like, shit, like... I can't make a decision because I'm like, what if I said the other thing? Then I want to go like on YouTube and check what it would have done. By the way, subscribe please. We are banging it with the subscribers, guys. We literally hit like 779 and I was at like 700 like 5 days ago. So shout out to Luke Dale, Hans Capone's voice actor. He shared my video. I appreciate it so much. And shout out to all of you guys for subscribing and being here. Leave a comment down below what you think. And also, I'm going to be streaming this game. So I guess for my FOMO as well, y'all could be here and, you know, help me out with some decisions or just laugh at me for making the bad ones.
On branching stories in the sequel. Quests will be more reactive. The story will throw players in situations where they're required to make tough decisions more frequently. And the different choices you make over the course of the story will have an impact on how everything culminates, with the game confirmed to feature multiple endings. Again, implementing meaningful player...
I love it and I hate it at the same time, but I love it mainly. It's just, it's a me problem. Like the
choice mechanics is much easier said than done, so it remains to be seen how well Deliverance 2 does here. But
they did great in the first one. I mean, I don't know about the multiple. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, they did great in the dialogue options for the first game. It was very good, very well made. The skill tree of intimidation, about like persuasion, you know, how you were dressed, how you smelled, how like how much blood you had on your armor, all of that. Peak RPG, peak.
The promises made by the developer are certainly encouraging.
That was no accident, was it? What are you on about? You'll raise your hand to a defenseless woman, but you need a whole gang to take on a man.
Think you can insult me, do you? Shut your gob. Get
I remember
lads.
this.
As important as all of this is, however, arguably nothing about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is going to be a bigger sell than its promise of an authentic open-world setting that prioritizes immersion and realism above all else. Obviously, massive open worlds are a dime a dozen these days, and medieval settings, or settings adjacent to that aesthetic, have been a thing in games for as long as anyone can remember.
Like if you like, most people I know love medieval settings. There's some people that don't, and actually, sorry, I'll take that back. Most people I know enjoy kind of a wide variety of settings, whether it's sci-fi, it's more of a soldier thing, this type of medieval stuff, or just full-on fantasy world with nothing to do with real medieval or anything. Most people enjoy a lot of them, but medieval usually is the one that comes up a lot, like just Baldur's Gate 3, Skyrim. I know Elden Ring technically is not medieval, but to me, Elden Ring is closer to this than it is to like Cyberpunk or Starfield. But you know what I mean, right?
What is far less common are games that choose to eschew all forms of fantasy elements and cut down on gamified abstractions as much as possible. And that promise is exactly what makes Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 such a compelling prospect.
Exactly. They have a different angle that they're coming from. You understand? Like, if they made a game with the regular old... I'm going to make myself big here. If they made a game with the regular old, oh, well, it's a action RPG in the medieval world with dragons and magic. Look, it's fine. I still love those types of games, but the reason why I think Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 will be set apart is also because there's no magic. With no magic, you have a completely different style of game. Usually you're used to just doing a spell and healing, or fireballs, or illusion magic, you know, hiding or becoming like wearing an invisibility cloak. Something like that, like in Hogwarts Legacy and whatnot, right? But in this game, it's kind of like in that same vibe, except there's no magic. It's like survival, sword, axe, armor, just straight up raw. Like there it is. And that's one of the biggest selling points in my opinion. It's a realistic medieval game, but it's not too focused on like being a simulator either, where you're just a peasant farmer, just being a peasant, and then some knight's gonna come and decapitate you because he felt like it. You can still do something. The game is still fun and packed with action.
Potentially, especially for all of the virtual tourism buffs out there, of which there are no shortage in gaming circles. The game's promise of an accurate and highly detailed recreation of 15th century Bohemia is one of its biggest selling points. Deliverance 2 is also looking to heighten its sense of immersion with the introduction of a new reputation system.
Henry.
Right. People are gonna be so crazy in
Yes,
this game.
that's me. Henry. I was sent by Dry Devil.
Depending on player actions and the way that you choose to play,
People
Henry will
treat you
develop
differently.
different reputations among the denizens of the world, which, as you may imagine, will impact the way that they behave around him and react to his decisions, and will in turn also impact the decisions that Henry himself will make. I'm curious to know how much this will impact the main story, but even if it doesn't do that much but is still implemented well enough, it should at the very least help ground you in the game's world, which in turn, in a game such as this one, is supremely important.
I don't think it'll change the whole game, but it'll for sure have some effects. That's for sure. If it changes a lot more in the game, then I'm just pleasantly surprised.
And yes, on top of all of that, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is promising to be a huge, sprawling experience. No longer crowdfunded and being developed on a larger budget,
Actually,
and
that's
with a greater
crazy,
pool
too.
of resources all around.
The first game was like crowdfunded, right? It was like it was their beginning initial project as the company, Warhorse, right? So this is actually even more crazy. Now they've made money. Now they have all the resources.
Deliverance 2 is looking like a much bigger and more expansive game than its predecessor. The developer says that the game is going to be anywhere between 80 and 100 hours long, with a world twice as large as the first game.
Makes sense.
Across 2 separate maps, no less, one of which also includes a large, dense city of Kuttenberg. While
yes.
presumably there will also be no shortage of side content on offer. A bang for your buck? Well, it sure sounds like it.
All right.
Of course, Deliverance 2 is also going to have to make
I see this video. So it can deliver the goods for sure.
marked improvements in several key areas. The first game's more eccentric tendencies were a big part of its identity, but some of them actively took away from the experience, like the survival mechanics or the saving system. So hopefully Deliverance 2 will be much smarter about how it implements those
Actually,
systems.
I don't think the saving system had an issue. I know a lot of people probably had an issue with the saving system because it was hard, but personally, I'd say the one thing that I heard them talk about that might be changed, I think will be changed. And I don't remember this. So if you guys know where it was said, you can link it down below. I'll check it out again. But they said that some of the skills that were, like, for example, you're a good drunk, let's say. If you picked that skill because you want to be able to drink alcohol and talk better, then it would take a lot away from your sober speech, which is kind of problematic. That's the one issue I could say with the skills. Some skills felt like it's like kind of like a juvenile little roleplay fun thing on the side, but it does end up having a negative effect on you, which you might not want to pursue, and you don't want to invest in that. And you just kind of put the whole thing on the side altogether, where obviously that's not what the developers wanted. If they put it in the game, they want us to use it. So that's maybe the only thing to like have that balance a little bit better. Saving system, I guess they could let you save a bit easier so you continue kind of playing the game, but at the same time the fear of dying kind of makes you take the game more seriously, which in turn makes you more immersed. And if you don't like that, then you just don't like that. That's not a thing that the game is bad in my opinion. But yeah, I could see a point made of maybe the saving system could be a little bit quicker or a little bit easier, but I don't want it to also be like Skyrim where you just spam quick save every 3 seconds because you're scared to lose your process, because you just keep going headstrong into every bad situation and dying.
We're also hoping for a
Even though
significantly more
I love Skyrim. It's like my #1 game. It's nostalgic. I love it. It's top tier. But still,
technically stable
there are
and
issues.
polished experience. Because as anyone who's played it will remember, the first game was a huge mess from a technical perspective when
Yeah.
it originally launched.
Yeah.
I'm all yours.
I think this one's gonna be good. No problem. No issues. I'm sure they work. There might be a couple of bugs on release, but nothing serious, I think.
With enough quality of life changes and coats of polish, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 can be the game that its predecessor showed the promise to be, but didn't quite have the means to fulfill. The iterative improvements that the sequel is making are sounding encouraging, and that combined with the inherently strong appeal of a sweeping, open-world action RPG that prioritizes realism, immersion, player freedom, and player choice can make for a decent game. Whether all of those elements can come together cohesively and strike the exact right balance, well, that remains to be seen. But for now, gamers can keep their eye on Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys...
Alright, well, I like the video. Overall, good little recap, good questions asked, I guess. Gaming Bolt, I'll link the video in the description. So yeah, good video. Let's check the comments quickly. Let's see, this isn't BioWare making Veilguard. Warhorse Studios actually has good writers, so I'm sure that choices will matter in the game. Agreed, yes. For me, KCD1 is one of the best games I've ever played. The atmosphere is great and the gameplay isn't that watered down. Storm Attack on Part 2, hyped as fuck. Warhorse is the GOAT. The quests, yeah. They said in the dev interview that KCD2 will not do away with the saving system as it's an integral part of the gameplay mechanic. As I said, I literally don't mind that. For me, that's completely fine. Bro, guys, let's be real here. I know for console is different, but a lot of the people that play these games are PC players. Worst case scenario, if the saving system is really the problem, get a mod. I'm sure literally day 1 or at most day 2, there's gonna be a mod out that just lets you go in the menu and save the game. If that's really the biggest issue of people not being able to save the game. But you gotta be kind of crazy to take that and be like, that's my biggest issue with the game. I don't know, that's just my opinion. But in any case, keep subscribing, guys. I love it. It helps out a lot. I really mean that. Like the video, share with a friend, comment down below what you think. And on that note, Ganat's out. Peace.